Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to day 2 of the holiday planning party here on Girl About Travel in the Holiday Insiders Club. So pleased to have everyone here and be joined this lunchtime, by two fabulous guests. We've got Tracy Thompson from Cruise America. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Beck. Hi, everybody. Great to be
Hello.
here.
Hi. And we've got Andree from Misa Tours in Canada. Hello, Andree.
Hello, Rebecca, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So really looking forward to getting stuck in today to talk about motorhome adventures across North America. First of all, let's come to you, Tracy. Can you just tell me a bit about you and what you offer with Cruise America?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with Cruise America now for almost 20 years. The company's going to be celebrating 50 years this year, which is fantastic. And what we really offer is a way for you to be self-contained, control your own environment, and really get close to what you came to see. I mean, if you're wanting to go and explore the great outdoors of North America, like the national and the state parks, there's no way to get closer to that adventure than being in a motorhome. I mean, every national and state park has a campground. They don't all have hotels. So it's a wonderful way to really immerse yourself in that great outdoor adventure. We keep it really simple at Cruise America, Cruise Canada. You only have to be 21 to rent one of our RVs, motorhomes. We don't have an upper age limit. We don't charge for additional drivers. And, as long as you've got an ordinary driver's license, you're over 21, you can rent any one of our vehicles. They sleep from 2 to 7 people. All of our vehicles at Cruise America are also custom built for us with the rental market in mind. So there's a lot of little things we do to make them easier to drive, clean, operate, and maintain. And of course, when you are traveling in North America, the roads are much bigger and wider. So it really is very easy to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. And how about you, Andree? Tell us a bit about Misa Tours.
My name is Andree. I've been with Misa Tours for just over 20 years. The company has been in business since 1987, so just over 35 years. Basically, we're specialists for group tours throughout Canada, but we also do offer lots of FIT experience, as individual travels throughout Canada, be it the East Coast, the West Coast, so we can take care of everything from the hotels, the sightseeing, some meals. And what we do like to do and what we are really specialists for is finding those little gems, a bit off the beaten path. So the itineraries can really include, all the major sightseeing like Niagara Falls and the CN Tower and Montreal and Vancouver. But we also try to make it an experience. So it's not just that you drive around and look at the main sites, but we will try to include some visits, so that people can get to meet the local experience with First Nations, with it could be also light and sound show. So lots of different things that will really make a trip to Canada memorable.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Yeah, it's all about getting under the skin of the place, isn't it? It's really important.
Yeah.
Just a quick hello to a few people watching. Hi, Lindsay and Leanne. Lovely to have you here. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about national parks as well. So, okay, well, let's start at the beginning. It might sound an obvious question, but like, why should we be doing a big trip to North America? Let's start with you, Tracy.
Well, I mean, without doubt, Beck, North America is one of the most beautiful places for a road trip anywhere in the world, with its unrivaled diversity. I think that's, one of the key things that North America has, with all it has to offer, including some of the most spectacular and magnificent national and state parks on the planet, as well as some of the most scenic and beautiful driving routes as well. And I think even for people that maybe haven't been to North America before, or not traveled extensively, we all feel like we know it so well from all the films and the shows that we all watch. And from those films and shows, I think everybody can get that feel and sense of the cosmopolitan, vibrant, world famous cities, to the vast outdoors that it has to offer, whether that's in the mountains or on the coast, the amazing culture and music scene that it has to offer as well, the fabulous national and state parks. So, yeah, I think it's just one of those places, because it is so diverse and vast, there's just so
Yeah.
many benefits to going to it to explore, and no better way than by motorhome.
So what's the difference between a national park and a state park? Is there a particular difference? What should we be looking out for?
I don't know about, the particular differences between the national and the state parks. I mean, obviously the US and Canada both have a huge amount of national and state parks. They all do have campgrounds. As I said, they don't all have hotels. And I mean, obviously, it's a wonderful way to immerse yourself in the great outdoors and nature.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, true, completely. How about you, Andree? What's your take on, what do you say when someone says to you, well, why should I visit? What's your sort of...
Well, like Tracy said, North America is so diverse, but it's also such a land of contrast. Especially, I'm based on the East Coast, so I'll talk a bit more about the East Coast.
Yeah.
If you think, we have very large cities, Toronto being the largest city, Montreal, Quebec City, really beautiful. But you drive 10 minutes outside of those, big hubs with millions of people living there, and you are really in a vast wilderness. You don't have to go far. And the wilderness is also very full of contrast. You will have lots of immense forests. It's really, you drive and all you can see is forest, with so many lakes, so many rivers, so much water, mountains. And then you have the little villages in those places. So it's really, so you have the big hubs where, with all the festivals, Toronto, Montreal especially, they're really well known for all their festivals. One of the most famous in Montreal is the Jazz Festival, the Just for Last festivals. So from May to October, every weekend there's something going on. So you really cannot get bored. But then if you so one night you can really be dancing outside even in the winter. And then the next day, you drive 10 minutes, you're in the mountains, you're in the forest, you can go kayaking, paddle boarding, hiking. And then you can, even in those places, you will get to meet some local people, First Nations also all over the place, which are very welcoming and are very happy to talk about their culture. So it's it's also very diverse. We have, the English speaking culture, the French speaking culture in Quebec, and with that intermix with the First Nations and all the immigrating population. Especially Toronto is such a great hub. And in Canada, people are so welcoming that they embrace newcomers, and with their culture, with their food. So you can really get to discover so many things in one day.
Oh, wonderful. So how long do you tend to recommend that people, I mean, is it possible, is it realistic to visit in, say, 5 nights, 6 nights? What's an ideal sort of length of stay?
Well, it all depends on how much you want to see. You have also with the motorhomes, just renting it, I don't think for 5 days would be really worth your while, because sometimes the distances between the cities sometimes is a bit greater than in Great Britain or in Europe. So I would say at least 10, 12 days, 14 days.
Yeah, no, that sounds
to really get to know it.
Yeah, I mean, our average rental at the moment is about 18 nights, and we've seen an increase in the number of nights that people are travelling for this year. I think because of the pandemic and people not having been able to travel the last couple of years, it does mean that when people are travelling now, they're wanting to take longer, and they're wanting to immerse themselves more with the culture, with the places, and really get under the skin of places and take their time. So we've definitely seen an increase in length of stays.
Oh, that's fabulous. So how does, we touched on it a little bit, but can you tell me more about how Cruise America Holiday does work? Can you pick up in one place and drop off at another? What's the sort of...
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about Cruise America and Cruise Canada is we're obviously the largest motorhome rental company in North America, and we offer internationally over 40 rental locations. So just about every major gateway city you can think of, whether that's Toronto, Montreal, whether that's Los Angeles, San Francisco, smaller locations like Albuquerque, Minneapolis, you can fly into those cities, spend a bit of time in the city, then pick up your camper van, and you can do a round trip or you can do a one-way. So, Eastern Canada, if you want to, you can pick up in Toronto, drop the vehicle in Montreal or Halifax. So again, it comes down to just what you want to see and how much time you've got back. But absolutely, and very simple, as I say, you know, you just need that ordinary driver's license. You just have to be over 21. And you know, the way we've built and developed our vehicles, we've really done that to make it as easy as possible. And that's one of the comments we get from first-time renters all the time is, oh my gosh, this is much easier to drive than I thought it would be.
They do look big, but
everything in North America's bigger, Beck.
We're so little in Little England. But how about, you know, what do you need to pack? Is everything you could possibly need already?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because you know, with our international customers, they're not traveling with their kitchen sink. We do have a vehicle provisioning kit that will provide them with all their cutlery, crockery, cookware, etc. We have personal kits, which is your pillows, your sleeping bags, your towels, etc. So they really only need to bring, you know, their usual camping gear and clothes. First stop for everybody on a motorhome holiday is Walmart or similar. Stock up with all your snacks and your provisions. And, you know, that is one of the major benefits, is being able to self-cater, because, you know, especially if you're traveling with a family, that does save an awful lot of money. But also because it is so vast and beautiful. And I know on some of the trips I've taken in both Canada and the US, you know, the nice thing about the motorhome is that freedom and flexibility to go where you want, when you want. And if you suddenly decide you want to stop and have lunch, you know, you can have lunch in some of the most amazing settings and places, you know, and, you know, eat farm to table even. So it is, you know, that is a really wonderful part of traveling by motorhome.
Yeah, definitely. Sally actually was asking if it's possible to cross the border, so pick it up in Canada and drop it off in America.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, no problem with that at all. The only caveat to that is if you pick up a US vehicle has to go back to a US location. So a good example is we have a lot of people that will pick up in Seattle, because we're only a couple of hours from Seattle to get over the border into Western Canada, and they can enjoy a combination of a Canadian and a US holiday. In fact, one of the things when I went to Yellowstone a couple of years ago that absolutely amazed me is I counted as many Cruise Canada vehicles in Yellowstone National Park as I did Cruise America, because again, there's a lot of people that will pick up in Calgary, and as well as doing the Rockies, if they've got time, drop down, do Glacier Park, and then come down into Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons. So that's not a problem.
Oh, fabulous. So it's fine. So it's fine to collect in Canada and drop off in the USA, but if you pick up in the USA,
no. So Canada, you've got to take a vehicle back to a Canadian location, and a US vehicle back to a US, but you can cross the border.
Fine. Okay. Cool. Great. Because also someone's asking about taking the train across Canada as well. Andree, do you have much experience of that? Do you tend to book people onto that quite a lot?
That is a wonderful experience. There's basically one train that goes all across. So from Via Rail, so you can pick up the train in Vancouver, and it goes through Jasper. You could even stop a few nights in Jasper. Then you may have to wait 2 or 3 days, because there's not a train running every day that goes through it has to go all the way to Toronto. So it goes through Jasper, Edmonton, Sioux Falls. And then in Toronto, you can sleep on board the train. So they have really comfortable cabins with the meals offered on site. They have the dome cars. So, and you get and with people on board that will talk about the areas that you'll be seeing and passing through. But it's possible to stop along the way if you want, and you spend a few days, like I said, in Jasper or in Winnipeg. Or
just tell us. I've never been to Jasper. Tell me what Jasper's like.
Oh, Jasper is wonderful.
Everyone always talks about.
You're really in the heart of the Rockies. Yeah, Jasper is really the heart of the Rockies with Banff, and you have the Icefield Parkway that's very close. Jasper is its own national park, so lots of mountains, many canyons, wildlife. You know, bears, elk, mountain goats, and the seeing of the wildlife is quite easy in that area.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a wonderful, the Icefield Parkway with a motorhome to drive across that. The view is just, it is so spectacular. It's difficult to describe. It's something you really have to live for yourself, to experience.
Oh,
It actually also houses the biggest campground in North America, Jasper, called Whistler's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. That's the largest campground there is. And they've recently renovated that, which is great as well. So, yeah,
nice.
lots of nice camping options there. And the
So
great thing about the campgrounds there is they also have the amphitheatres. So in the evening, the rangers put on outdoor programmes. So you can go along, you know, with a glass of wine or a cup of cocoa to the amphitheatre at the campground and sit there and, you know, find out more about what it is you've come to see, whether it's a talk on the wildlife or nature or the park itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jasper is also a how do you call it? A darkness reserve. So for astronomy, to see the stars is one of the best places, and they do have activities offering that. And there's many local providers also that will offer you some guided hiking tours.
Oh, wonderful.
And,
combining both the train and some motorhome, and then just doing that across, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks would just be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean,
and if we continue with the trains, so from Vancouver to Toronto, and then Toronto, you would have to change train, and then you can choose to go to Ottawa or directly to Montreal. So there's good connection, the Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and then Quebec City. Quebec City is not because I live very close to it, but it's really one of the most beautiful places in North America, one of the most beautiful cities. It has the charm, you know, it still has its European influence. French people will say, oh, it looks a bit like the Normandy. British people will say it looks a bit like Edinburgh. It has this mix. But then you have Montreal and Toronto. Montreal also has that French flair, but it's a bit more North American. And Toronto is really a typical North American city, you know, with all the skyscrapers, and very close to Niagara Falls, the Niagara Falls and the Niagara wine region. So there's so much to experience, and always to taste, to drink, and to eat. There's
so important.
Of that. Yeah, and if you were to continue also from Montreal, Quebec City, there's also a train that goes all the way down to Halifax. So you could really go across Canada, really from one coast to the other with the train. Wow. I would say you would have to plan at least 10, 12 days minimum.
Okay, yeah, that's doable. That's fine. Okay. If you can, where's your go-to? Where's your favourite place to visit in North America? Just keeping it broad there for both of you. Tracy, do you want to answer first?
Yeah. Well, without doubt, I think, Beck, whenever I talk to the family, I mean, as I said, I've been with Cruise for 20 years and my kids are now 21 and 23. So I've been camping with them from tots to teens to adults. And we've been all over North America. And still the favourite holiday, whenever we talk about it, is Utah and Arizona combined. That was our favourite adventure. And I think a lot of the reasons for that being the favourite is, well, several things. Firstly, children don't want to spend hours and hours driving every day. And the wonderful thing about the route that we did, which took in places like Zion, Lake Powell, Monument Valley, Arches, Moab, Capitol Reef, Bryce, Grand Canyon, just even reeling off those names, everything is so different. No day is the same. You're only ever driving for a couple of hours before you're at another amazing national park or monument or spot or lake, and then you can really have a day and a night to really, or a couple of nights to really enjoy an adventure there. And then the next day when you leave, you're going somewhere completely different. So it's not the same. Everything is so different. So the kids like that. They don't get bored. You're not driving for too long. And it is an adventure holiday. I mean, we went trekking with mules in Zion. We went rafting on the Colorado. We went on a Hummer in Moab over the rocks. So there's just so many activities as well that you can bring into it as a family. So for us, that's definitely a favourite. To be honest with you, the most popular place for people to go motorhoming in North America is California. And again, love California too. It's got absolutely everything. It's got the coast, it's got national and state parks, it's got winery, it's got theme park attractions. So again, that's another great road trip that we've enjoyed as well.
Amazing.
Too many to mention. Oh,
I know. Yeah. Very tricky question. How about you, Andree?
This is such a difficult question. Like also, I can also confirm the Arizona, Utah, Nevada is just such a great place to visit. It really depends on how I feel. What do I want to achieve with my vacation, or what do I want to experience? So if I'm in a mood, I want to go party and eat and just have a busy,
Yeah.
really do it.
Yeah.
Then it would be Toronto or Montreal.
Okay. Yeah.
For nightlife, restaurants, culture,
Yeah.
shows,
So,
museum, and all of that.
yeah.
Um, Vancouver, I really like also because you have that mix again of urban life,
Mm.
but you're really 15 minutes and you are in the coastal mountains. I love hiking. So for hikers, it is just really a wonderful place to be. So wonderful scenic vistas, and you have trails for all type of hikers.
Yeah.
And then you can go on a boat and go whale watching,
Oh,
the same
incredible.
day.
What a
Uh,
day that is. It's just
yeah, that is and just inside Vancouver, people are there. They love the outdoors, so you can just rent a bike also and travel around Vancouver. It's really easy to visit the whole city by bike or on foot.
yeah.
So many places to see, and you don't have to get far out to experience the wildlife again.
Yeah.
And then Quebec City, if I want in winter somewhere that I want to get into the Christmas spirit, then I
Yeah.
would go to Quebec City.
Okay.
That's really the Christmas postcard, pure, the best it can get.
Okay.
With all the snow, all the decorations, and all of that. And there's wonderful skiing hills, even though people know the Rockies to go skiing, or Whistler, but in the East Coast also, there's the mountains are not as tall, but with incredible sceneries. Along the St. Lawrence River, when you ski on top, you think you're going to go into the river. And so it's a tricky question.
But
I,
what
I
about
couldn't say
the
it's and there's also the between Montreal and Quebec City, you have so much wildlife for outdoor activities, so many places. So it really depends on what you want from your holiday.
Of course, yeah, no, definitely, and that's why we're talking to people like you who actually know what you're talking about and where you're focusing on. So it's good to hear. What about the east coast of Canada? That kind of stretch up from Toronto that goes out. What's that like?
Well, it depends if you go up north. If someone want to go a bit off the beaten path, and you're
Yeah.
with a motorhome, which would be ideal, you could start in Toronto, and instead of doing the classic route, Niagara Falls, and then go to Ottawa, Montreal, you could
Mm.
go up north. So from Toronto, if you were to follow up north, you come to Algonquin Provincial Park, which is beautiful, and then from there you can continue even into the province of Quebec up north, which is a mining region. So there
Okay.
you could go and visit some gold mines that are still active. Some that are closed, but you can go inside and an open active mine. Again, lots of lakes for fishing. It's wonderful. There's two other national parks there, the Picoga National Park and Aiguebelle
Okay.
Park. And from there, you could go a bit eastward, and then come to Mont Tremblant, which is similar to Whistler. And then from there, go down to Montreal. And Montreal, again, it's a city of nightlife, of food, of festivals. And from there, you can continue up to Quebec City. I've mentioned Quebec City a few
Yeah.
times. And then
Yeah.
go further to the Gaspésie area, which is this peninsula that goes into the Atlantic. Or that's something I've just come back last week. There is a cargo ship that takes passengers and that does all the north shore of the St. Lawrence and stops in the little villages that have no road. The only access there is by boat. So the
Wow.
deliveries of food, of goods, of cars, of furniture has to be done with this ship. I'm talking a lot about food because in Quebec, food is really
That's
very
fine. I'm
important
all
to
about
us. Excellent food on board. You can see how they take the containers off. You stop in those little ports. You have maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. A very important Innu communities
Yeah.
there. Stay there so you can get to talk to them and learn about their culture. And what you could do is, I don't know if that would be all right, but you could have the motorhome put on that ferry, and it goes all the way to Blas. It's a place called Blanc Sablon, And there is a ferry that goes across to Newfoundland. So basically, then from there you can take a ferry to Newfoundland and then come back via Nova Scotia.
Wow, properly remote and really getting
really.
out.
Then that is really an experience where you see the vastness of the country, and how people live in those little villages. 500 people, 200 people. There's even a village, they have no roads. It's wooden planks in the summer, and now there was still snow, and people were just driving with their snowmobiles around to get around from one place to the other. So it's a completely different way of life.
Yeah, no, definitely a proper adventure. That sounds incredible. Well, we'll have to make sure we get some itineraries from you based on that incredible exploration. I wanted to ask as well, you both, for your sort of insider tips on how to get the most from a holiday in North America. What do you do? What would be your sort of, that's a really good little life hack or insider tip to get the most from the holiday?
I'll go with some camping tips first, and just to sort of also just expand on that itineraries that you mentioned is for your viewers, if they go to the North America Travel Service website, Beck, they have all of our motorhome sample itineraries on there. We have something called our Cruise America Tour Book. It's packed with 50 sample itineraries we've got a classic Quebec, we've got a classic Ontario, we've got my favorite Utah, we've got California. So if they're looking for inspiration sample itineraries, they will find them on that website. Some little tips.
And I should just add as well, we'll be adding them into the Holiday Insiders Club as well.
Wonderful. That's great. I think this is a question somebody did ask. A top tip, obviously, if you are going to be staying in any iconic national park, whether that's Jasper, whether that's Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, is obviously pre-book that early, because the campgrounds do get booked up. So when they book their motorhome, especially for those iconic places, they should be booking their campgrounds as placeholders. They're very affordable. It's about $35 a night to camp in Jasper and Yellowstone. So it's great value for money for the RV. So definitely do that. For America, definitely at the first national park that you visit, if you're going to be visiting more than 3 parks, which most people are, I would suggest buying an America the Beautiful Parks Pass. It's an annual parks pass, and it will then gain you entry for free into all of the national parks. And it's only $85. It's valid for the year. You can have up to 2 users too. So if you come home and you've got a friend that's going out to North America, you can pass them the pass and they can use that as well. So it really is great value. A top tip from me, having motorhomed with children and having had to travel in July and August on many occasions, which maybe quite a few mums that are listening also are in that position, is get up early. I mean, if you are staying in places like Yellowstone National Park, if you get up about 7 in the morning, a lot of visitors are day visitors. You get a lot of buses coming in. People coming in for the day, and they don't tend to start arriving until 10 or 11 in the morning. So if you're up at 7 and going and seeing one of the iconic, places to visit in the national park, I found even in Yellowstone in August, quite often I was the only person on the boardwalk with the family early in the morning. So definitely get up early, do some exploring before the visitors come in, and then you can spend the afternoon swimming in the creek or going on a boat or biking. So I think getting up early is a good tip, definitely.
And I think as well, the time difference, that works with the time difference for us as well, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. And I think naturally with camping, you do tend to be to bed early and up early. Book a camping spot with a campfire. Kids love building a campfire. There's nothing like sitting under the stars with s'mores and a cocoa or a glass of wine around your campfire, playing cards or whatever it might be. So that's kind of nice. Definitely visit the visitor centres in the national parks for information on the programs that are on. One of the things my kids love doing was the junior ranger programs. They're completely flip-free. They can collect the little badges to say they're junior ranger of Zion or Yellowstone or wherever, and you get the little book that they have to complete to become a junior ranger. But the great thing about those little booklets is, you learn so much yourself as an adult because everything's put into layman's terms. So, you're suddenly in this amazing park wanting to learn more about the wildlife, and that's a really great way to do it. So definitely do that as well. And obviously, as I said before, the great thing about traveling with the RV is being able to self-cater. So you can stock up on all those snacks and food, and really you can then eat where you want, when you want, which is really nice. You know, if you're on a fly drive holiday and the kids are hungry, you're always looking for somewhere to stop.
Yeah, completely.
But when you're traveling with all your snacks and your food, you know, you've got that option, you know, to obviously, you know, dine al fresco and impromptu, which is really nice as well.
Yeah. Oh, and just actually touching on that bit, your first insider tip about booking your campsites. Irene earlier was asking if you can park. Do you have to park up in a designated campsite, or can you park kind of off grid? Can you stay overnight off grid?
Yeah, so a combination. Firstly, with the states, which is a little bit more complicated, is every single state in the States has its own law when it comes to camping. So in California, for example, you're technically meant to overnight somewhere official every night, whether that be, you know, I mean, it could be a Walmart car park because they allow you to stay in their car parks for the night, or could be a campground. But yeah, you know, you're not going to be able to park on Rodeo Drive and get the barbecue out. A lot of it is just common sense, but there are other states where yes, you can. In Canada, I've done a lot of free and wild camping, as long as it doesn't say no camping or no overnight parking. And I think with every trip I've done a combination of staying in a, you know, a resort style campground where there's a swimming pool and the kids can go and you know, have a swim, etc., to staying in more basic campgrounds in forests, to staying in the national parks, to staying in a restaurant car park, because we've had a meal and it's a pretty car park, and we've asked the owners if it's okay to overnight. So yeah, and I mean, there is the opportunity as well to free camp. There's a website called Boondockers Welcome, which does list a lot of free camping opportunities, whether that's on dispersed land or in forest, etc.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. Okay. Thank you. And Andree, how about any insider tips from you on how to make the most of the holiday?
What also I would, if someone is not traveling with a motorhome, you know, they've hired a car and they would like to experience camping in national parks. Many of the parks in Canada offer what they call ready to camp. So there'll be either, you know, comfortable tent with a wooden floor, and you have all the basics are in there, and you will have, you know, the beddings, the fridge, cooking space. All you need to bring is your own food. Fabulous. And there'll be sanitary blocks, you know, like in every camping. Some others are basically like little chalets, you know, small cabins in many of the national and provincial parks is something that is offered. So if someone wants to spend more time. Another thing is also look at your itinerary at the distances.
Okay.
That could be quite a surprise. Sometimes on a map, everything may look a bit closer, but plan your time. The timing should be planned, especially if you are taking trains or ferries and things like that. So looking at the distances that from one place to the other, and maybe sometimes don't plan. Okay, I want to see all of Canada. It would be a wonderful experience too, but you won't really get to know it or to learn about it. So maybe just decide, you know, on one area and spend a bit more time there.
Yeah, no, fair enough, definitely. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. We should probably wrap things up. This has been really, really useful and interesting, and just itching to get out to North America now. Thank you. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks everyone for watching. I think we've covered off most of the questions that people. Oh, there was just one thing actually. Sorry. What about traveling with a newborn baby and camping? Is it feasible?
We have no age restriction at all.
I just meant
we have plenty of families that do travel with us, and actually it's a wonderful way to travel as a family, because obviously you've got things like your fridge and your microwave. So if you've got a new little baby, and obviously, you know, they've got feeding times and nap times and things like that, obviously you're really traveling with your own little home on wheels. So actually it's a really fantastic a way to travel with a family, because you've obviously got all of your facilities with you, whether that's the bathroom or whether it's the kitchen or whether it's the bed and you need a nap. So yeah, this is a great way for families to travel.
Leanne is watching currently. Is just asking about what about traveling with a furry baby? I presume she means a dog or some sort of pet.
Yes,
like that.
yeah. Obviously, we don't get too many of our international customers doing that, but we do domestically, and we are a pet-friendly company. So people domestically obviously do travel with their pets quite regularly.
Yeah,
So
brilliant. Okay. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much. It's just this sort of expertise that we love to have in the Holiday Insiders Club. So yeah, thank you for sharing it with us, and thanks everyone for watching. We will be back tomorrow for day 3 of the holiday planning party, and we are off to Africa and going on safari. Leanne says, no, my baby is just really hairy. But thank you again. And yeah, as I say, there'll be itineraries from you both in the Holiday Insiders Club, and lots more info to come as well. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. And
thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
We'll be back tomorrow for more.
Bye.